Shalom, welcome to the Jewish View. My name is Rabbi Nachman Simon with the Chabad House of Delmar, together with my co-host, Mark Warner, just statewide news service, jbiztechvalley.com. And as you can see here, column is for the Jewish press.
Right, I'm having a lot of fun with all three assignments, and my column in the Jewish press is called Albany Beat, and I talk about how government relates to the Jewish community, or doesn't, as the case may be. And someone who I believe is a friend of the Jewish community here is our guest today, Judge William Carter. He's now the Albany City Judge, but about to move up to county, to being county judge. And he's running unopposed, so there's no, I'm sure there won't be a big write-in candidacy.
Let's hope not.
But welcome to the Jewish View.
Thank you very much for asking
How
me.
many good judges are there, just basic civics in Albany?
There are, in city court, there
Yeah.
are 3 in the criminal part. There is a judge who does the DWI part as well as civil. And then there is another judge that just does civil.
So you're leaving the city court, Rachel Kretzer's leaving.
Yes,
the
Rachel
city
is leaving.
court, or left, I don't know, but, and who else is leaving? Anyone else?
Judge Keefe is retiring.
Well, yes, forced retirement. I'll leave it at that. And then, so you got 3 openings. It's going to be quite the race coming up for city court to replace the 3 of you.
Yes, it's going to be very active. I believe Judge Heath is also up for re-election.
Oh, no, but not.
Two for the next.
But the county where you're going to county court, you have to be elected also?
Yes.
Right, but he won the primary, right? Was there a primary? Yeah, there was a primary. And he,
Well, there was a primary, but not for me.
no.
The other 2 individuals.
Oh, right. He had 2 opponents, primary opponents, and they dropped, one didn't get enough signatures that were valid on a petition, which was surprising to me personally, that someone who wants to be a judge couldn't even figure out how to get on the ballot. But that was, I'm not going to ask you to comment on that. And then there was another person who dropped out and decided not to run, I believe.
He also did not get enough signatures.
Valid signatures, right.
Yes.
So
What would like the cases in general? Of course, we don't want to say specifics or names around there, but what kind of cases does an Albany city judge see?
I'm in the criminal part in Albany City Court. Any of the criminal cases that start within the city actually come before our court. It could be violation level, say a disorderly conduct, someone fighting in the street, actually all the way up to Class A felonies, a murder. I don't have trial jurisdiction over that, but I have preliminary jurisdiction over it. It has to come through the court. They're entitled to have their preliminary hearing in our court, and then of course it goes up to the Superior Court, to county court in this case.
And you have a phenomenal history that I wanted to talk about.
Well, thank you.
You're half or part African American and Japanese descent.
My father is African American. He's an Air Force veteran, and when he was stationed overseas, he met my mother, brought her home. I still remember when she got her citizenship.
Fell in love.
Yes,
And then
very
brought
much
her home.
so. Well, they got married twice. They got married once over there, and then once when they got back here.
Hey.
Uh,
And after all these years, they're still together.
well,
No, what?
no, my mom passed away.
Your mom passed away, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. And
The Japanese marriages are very expensive. How do I know? Do you know about their? No, because my sister is, my daughter's in Hawaii. I have a sister in the hotel business. Says all the Japanese people come to get married in Hawaii because they have a custom in Japan that the bride and groom have to give their guest gifts. Usually, the bride and groom get the gift. So it's so expensive. They just take 10 people, fly to Hawaii.
That I did not know. I knew about the tea ceremony, but I did not know that. Somehow I have a feeling that my parents did not do that. But yeah, he met my mom and brought her home.
And you were the first judge of color and the first judge of Asian descent in this district, judicial district.
Yes, and well, actually, they say in the department, which is
In the whole
28
city
counties.
of Albany?
No, there's 7 counties for the 3rd
Judicial.
judicial district, but the 3rd department, I believe, is 28. And when Judge Kretzer did her research for the Bar Association, she did a lot of interviewing and background, because I actually did not know that I was the first Asian. I knew I was the first person of color, And Judge Heath actually is the, or was the second, rather. Judge Rivera is the first Superior Court judge. We're a little bit behind in the 3rd Judicial District.
Well, they have a judge that was elected to state Supreme Court.
Yes,
who's
and now,
African-American.
yes, Christina Riva,
Right.
that was a very big accomplishment.
Now, before you went into the law, before you got your legal degree, you were in law enforcement. You were a
Yes.
state trooper.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, do you still have your hat and your uniform, and do you play, or did you have to turn
I
that in?
had to turn everything in.
Okay.
So,
It's interesting when you say that, because, I met so many people go from defense to prosecutor to judge. Do they have any leanings, like, since the state trooper, you're saying, I was a policeman, I saw a lot of crimes, and, you have feelings more for the victim, maybe, because you were, arresting the felon.
that's actually a really good question. And part of my campaign platform and platforms has always been my background and experience. It's true that I started out in law enforcement. It's true that I went to the district attorney's office. It's true I was the chief assistant district attorney. And I was also an assistant attorney general in the Criminal Prosecutions Bureau. But I actually spent more time as a defense attorney. And I was an associate capital defender when we still had the death penalty. So
Are you in favor or against the death penalty?
I'm actually not allowed to answer that question.
Oh, never mind.
Mark.
But it doesn't.
Well, I didn't know. I mean,
It
it's
doesn't
fine.
exist anymore here.
Yeah,
so
and that's why I
whatever.
thought I was fine with it. I just didn't know, but it's a hypothetical. But that's why. Okay, so
But that's a good question, and
so
Yeah,
but-
just because a person comes with leanings, so it's hard, you think you have to put on different hats. That's what I'm saying. Some people they say, I work for the DA office, and now I'm a defense attorney. He says, well, before you're prosecuting the guy, and now
Now
you
you're defending
defend, so, and then you're a judge sometimes. I met a few people that are judges afterwards, and now you have to be impartial, obviously.
exactly. We are very much so expected to be fair and impartial.
Is there any similarities between being a trooper and being a judge?
There's a common misconception with the general public that being part of the judiciary is being part of law enforcement, and we're not. We're ethically bound to be neutral.
Right.
So, I come in contact with the police. I have my own feelings about law enforcement. I know how difficult a job that is. And I know how the courts look at it, too. You have seconds, if that, to make a determination that courts can take years to determine what you did during that short span of time. It's difficult. And you can see across the country all of the things that are happening now. But aside from that, I'd have to say no, not any more than...
Because I would think a trooper would need to be objective in whether they make they ascertain whether they should arrest someone or give them a ticket, or whether they should do, they have to go by the book.
Absolutely. All law enforcement, any police
So that's
officer
why
is
I'm-
bound.
Was
Sure.
wondering if there was similarities where you both have to be objective.
Yes, but not in the same way. I have to be
Okay.
objective about everything, not just the law enforcement side. I have to be objective about the defense side also. And, the troopers are police officers, they're law enforcement officials.
I also,
you
I have a quandary also sometimes. I have no official capacity. I'm a rabbi, but one of my 10 jobs, like I say, is visiting.
We had a rabbi attached to the state police.
Yeah, well, I
You
guess
did,
you're right.
yeah, Rabbi.
I go to prisons, and then you hear people's story. I get, I'm coming into it to make it more Jewish and make it more ethically fit. It's better for society, better for them. And what do they have to be in jail? Let them lead a good life. And then I have, and you say in Jewish, a rachmanis, you have a mercy, a compassion for them. They messed up, they had a bad childhood, they say, abused themselves. And then, I could just see I'm more compassionate towards them. Then I say, well, they did something very bad to somebody. So I don't know. No one's asking for my opinion. They don't ask for a rabbi's opinion whether the guy should be out on parole or not. But I'm just saying it would be interesting. To me, it's a quandary. Should I feel bad for them, think, good, you hurt somebody, they're laid up, and things like that. Good that you're in jail away from other people, but I go back and forth constantly like that. And I would think a judge also, you want to, some people have hard circumstances.
It's a balancing act, and I think that it is important to take into consideration, everyone's background. Cases should be determined on their own merits, on a case-by-case basis. There shouldn't be any, flat out, everything gets treated a certain way. Everybody's different. Yes, I have compassion for the victims. That's how I got to be the domestic violence court judge. I was asked to be that. But, by the same token, everyone has rights. And, like it or not, the way our system of laws are set up, the person that gets the benefit of the doubt is the defendant. And, truth be told, that's really the way you want it, because on the other end of it, the state has so much power to bring against this one individual. So you really want to make sure that everybody dots their I's and crosses their T's, follows the law, and then hopefully you get the right result at the end of it. When people start putting their fingers on the scales of justice, that's when you have a problem.
And why did you leave being a state trooper? Did you not like it?
I liked it a lot. I liked it a lot. I wasn't, it's nothing against, my fellow troopers that write tickets, but that's not what I did. I was actually, patrol, investigated crimes. I had to write tickets too, but it wasn't, my
Is that
main.
BCI or?
No, I did not get to the BCI. I was uniform. But they're some of the finest people I've ever worked with.
Right.
And still, to this day.
But what did you do? You in terms of investigating homicides or?
Burglaries, homicide, robberies, just whatever, any
What-
run-of-the-mill stuff.
Which troop?
Domestic
were you part-
violence.
Which troop were you part of?
I was in Troop F.
F troop. I call
Troop F. Troop F.
That's down in Poughkeepsie area, right?
From Orange County, I believe, all the way up until New Baltimore.
Yeah.
To the end of Greene County.
Well, I take the Taconic down to New York City.
Be careful.
Right around between Bull's Head Road and Pumpkin Lane, the troopers are always between that area, and I always know to go closer to 60 than 65 when I'm driving through there. Well, it's true. I mean, you got to tell people about this,
It's a public service.
That's right. They're not there for safety, not to give out tickets. It's not a revenue raiser, right?
You said that.
That's true.
But
You didn't disagree or agree, so I just, okay.
I came in contact with a lot of attorneys just from being in court. And I got to be friendly with several of them, and they encouraged me to go to law school. And I thought, quite honestly, that I could make a better life for my family if I did that. The odd thing is I never had any intention at all of doing criminal law. And I started out as an intern in the district attorney's office with Mr. Greenberg, with Sal. You gotta love Sal.
Yeah.
And Dan Dwyer was the chief assistant district attorney. And the big cases that he tried, back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up being his clerk. Mm-hmm. So right off the bat, almost the first day, I'm doing work on like a 30-year-old unsolved murder of a child, and I stayed at the DA's office. At that point in time, they had paid interns, and my daughter was born the second semester of my first year of law school. And I couldn't work.
Right.
My wife's a nurse. She put me through law school and took care of my daughter. I don't know how I never saw her sleep. I don't know how she did it, but I just ended up staying and prosecuting felonies. I went to the AG's office. They needed a prosecutor for a special program that they had started, the Capital District Illegal Guns Compact, and I got to be kind of a super DA. I was an assistant attorney general, but I also became an assistant district attorney again for Albany, and then Schenectady, Rensselaer, and Saratoga. And I was also cross-designated an assistant U.S. attorney. It was a good idea.
So who was the AG at the time?
When I first started,
Let's see, we got Abrams, Vacco, Capel.
Capel,
Okay.
and then Vaco came in, and then
okay. And then, so it was Capel, it was Abrams, Capel, Vacco, and then who defeated, then, was it Andrew who defeated Vacco?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay, anyway. So how long did you stay as a trooper, and what age were you?
I stayed for about 6 years.
6 years, so from 82 to 88?
Yes.
How old are you now?
I'm going to be 57 on Friday.
Oh, well, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Mazel tov. That's great. So
Get a
you were born in
birthday cake.
1960?
59.
59.
I'm a 59er.
Okay, so you were about 22, 23
Something like that.
when you became a trooper, which is the right age, yeah. And then you became a lawyer when you were in your late 20s.
I got out of law school, Albany Law School, in 1991.
Okay, so you're about 31.
I think so. If I could do math, I'd be a doctor.
yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. And then all this activity with the Saul Greenberg's DA office, I understood, when I went up there, I always felt like I was going through in a time warp. I mean, everything was done in the old style without, prior to computers. I'm sure he had some computers somewhere, but he liked the stacks of papers on file cabinets.
Yeah.
And he liked the dust and the cobwebs, and it was a style. It wasn't right or wrong. It was just a style. So
It was effective.
it was effective. And did you ever want to go? I mean, because Klein succeeded him?
Yes, and I was Paul's chief assistant.
Oh, you were, okay. So you were the Dan Dwyer of...
Well, I would never say that. I would never compare myself to Dan, but yes,
no,
I was the
I mean,
chief
same
assistant.
type of position, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So he groomed you well, Dwyer.
He did. Well,
Okay.
Dan, it's funny that you say that. Richard Hartunian was also one of Dan's. I'm trying to remember. We were talking about this. Michael McDermott.
Yeah,
The Porco.
right.
He was also one of Dan's.
Okay.
So
So he's got a few people. He had a good farm system.
yes, he had a good farm system.
That's
He
right.
was a wonderful man. He was a wonderful man.
And what made you want to get into, well, you were an acting county court judge.
Just for the domestic violence court.
Okay. Why were you acting? Who left? That you took a position, or how did that happen?
The domestic violence court actually came into being through the Albany Law School Domestic Violence Clinic and the Legal Project of the Women's Bar Association. They thought there was a need for a court, and they approached our administration, and eventually, actually after a lot of work, a lot of research and legwork, it was formed. And in doing that, in our protocol, they believed that if I could also be a county court judge, because it actually gives me more ability to do things. For example, if you came before me as a city court judge and you had 2 prior felonies, I'm not allowed to set bail. If it's a Class A felony, I'm not allowed to set bail. If I could be an acting county court judge, I would have more abilities, and I would also be able to take pleas, and not just misdemeanor pleas. I could take felony pleas too. So if there was a case that came before us, and they knew that it was not going to be tried in county court, and instead the person would take a felony plea, rather than sending it all the way up to county court and having those judges do it, it allows me to do it right in city court. I just put on a different hat.
Domestic violence is mainly, what would it be typically, that a husband beats up his wife? That's what you would say?
Domestic abuse comes in many forms. It can be psychological, it can be physical, it's intimate partner violence, and abuse. In my court, it's anyone who is if you are an intimate partner or were an intimate partner, you would come before me. So your ex, too.
Yeah, I understand. It goes the other way. I just saw an article, really, Mark, that says that there's a lot of like husband abuse goes the other way, but husbands, have you seen like that? The wives that hit the husbands, and the husband's so ashamed. We're going to say a woman beat me up or something.
I-
So that was on the increase. I saw an article just recently about that.
I've had a few cases like that, but only a few.
Yeah.
And many times what will happen is the abuser, who's, it's just a fact, is usually a man, will call the police. And it's just another form of domination and control. So he's not really the victim. And then he has her arrested, and many times she gets arrested for defending herself, which was actually a big change in our court. Typically if you come before, a criminal court as a defendant, and the allegation is you've committed an assault against someone, you're going to be treated in a certain fashion. So with our court, we have victims advocates right there in the court, and if reading the facts, something doesn't seem right, I will stop the arraignment. They will go to a private place. They will be interviewed for as long as it takes on that day just to get through the arraignment process. Because, quite frankly, I don't want to punish someone twice. I don't want to punish the victim.
No.
And if the facts come out where she's been abused for years,
And she hit back.
and she hit back, she may very well just walk out the door as opposed to
Yes.
having bail set or being
But
remanded.
aren't there guys who know better than to hit a woman, that they just sit back and the woman pounds on the guy? I mean, there are some really strong women out there, and where they just pound on the guy is helpless because he knows that if he lifts a hand or whatever, or there's a mark on her, that there's going to be trouble, that the guy is always considered guilty first. And
I don't consider anybody guilty first, but I know what you're saying. I mean, maybe it happens, but in the domestic violence court, there have been some, but there haven't been a lot of male
Right.
victims. We have.
Essentially, because I saw an article, I just
Right.
thought to
No,
raise that up over here.
I
That's
had
on the
this.
increase.
There was this conversation about child support, and they talked about men not not keeping up with child support, and I forgot the terminology that they used, but it was a male terminology, and I said, what about women? Women pay child support sometimes. I mean, it's not just something with the system. Anyway, it's just not men who are losing their way in terms of paying up. Women too. But they say,
Divorce
well,
court
it
is a
doesn't happen that often.
It must be very
happens,
difficult. It's probably
But,
one of the more difficult situations. I mean, you've seen so many different things, to find out. I mean, you have two people who love each other. Obviously, they got married for, were together for one reason or another, and now they can't stand each other, comes to abuse.
I
It's
wanna ask
heartbreaking
you,
when you deal with that.
It is
aside-
difficult.
Aside from the domestic violence court, I wanted to ask you about the type of people that you represented, the indigent defendants in death penalty cases. Is there the Innocence Project? Is that a valuable tool? I mean, I see them come up with all sorts of ways that people who are put in jail, and then they come up with DNA, and they come up with other ways that they had the wrong persons in jail. I mean, I'm not a death penalty advocate because of that, and I remember Mario Cuomo giving a very impassioned speech at College of St. Rose as to when we did have death penalty up until 1962, 63, something like that, and then we didn't have it for so many years, including during his tenure, that it was this finality and how wrong we were. In this state, there were 10 wrongful deaths in the death penalty, under the death penalty statute, that the state put 10 people to death and they shouldn't have. So I just, when the irreversible argument really means a lot,
It does. The training for the Capitol Defender's Office was incredible. I had been a defense attorney. I had done felony level trials as both defense and prosecutor, but I learned so much with the Capitol Defender's Office under now retired Judge Treese, and it's because of the things that you speak of. We had to delve as far back as we could into the person's background, family, friends, psychiatric, anything, and really to pick apart the prosecution too, the case that they put together. And yeah, I mean, it's an imperfect system. That's why it's so important for everyone to do their jobs. It's the criminal justice system. It's very important for police to be objective, like you say. For prosecutors to be the same and to do their jobs and to follow the law. Defense attorneys to zealously represent their clients, and judges to be fair and impartial. It's the only way that you're going to move towards hopefully getting the right result and not make a mistake like that.
Well, I know that, you're going to be a wonderful county court judge. I've seen you in the city court and what you've been doing there, and if I was ever up there in front of you, I'd know that I had a good person.
Put him away over here, Judge.
No,
over
I'm
here,
just saying
put
that.
him away.
I'm just saying that from my point of
Just
view.
joking.
Well, thank
But
you.
I just want to, how's your, well, instead of just saying how's your health, I mean, how are your knees?
My knee,
Why?
I'm actually wearing something right now.
Why, what is it?
I
You had
had-
knee surgery.
I had a
You know everything, Mark.
He does know everything. He does.
I know his knees are problem.
Because Neil
What's
Breslin had knee surgery, had both his knees worked on, and you can commiserate with him.
Yeah, my recovery hasn't really been what I expected. So, but thank you for asking. But it's coming along.
Did you serve in the military?
That's actually how I got into the troopers. My father's an Air Force vet,
Yeah.
and I wanted to serve. And he's very proud of his service. But as an African American, growing up when he did, he really valued education, and we battled. I was actually supposed to go to Union to get my MBA. I can't even do long division. But finally we came to like a middle of the road where I said, well, I want to take the trooper exam. I'd like to do something. I'd like to serve some way.
Wow.
And I liked it. I liked it a lot.
At 21 years old, that was pretty special to have that discussion. I mean,
It was a great experience.
Yeah.
People ask me when you went in and I still remember the dates. That's how, when I drive on Washington Avenue Extension now and I look over at the academy on a Sunday night, seeing the cars come back and people getting ready to start the training for the week, I still get that it's Sunday, I have to go to school on Monday feeling. Because I remember.
And what about this drug court and vet track that you did?
Our veterans court, my veterans court, is not part of VetTrack. VetTrack is an actual.
Albany County has two problem-solving courts, drug court and vet track.
Yes.
So you had drug court.
No.
No.
VetTrack is actually part of drug court. It's the way the
Okay.
3rd Judicial District set it up.
Okay.
And even though I had a large part in getting it started, almost the day before it was going to be announced, they said that the domestic violence court could not officially be part of VetTrack.
Okay.
And I said, well, I'm having a court for veterans anyway. And they said, we know that you're going to do that, it's fine. So I don't take veterans that are just going through drug court. It's anybody. When we find out that you're a veteran,
Yeah.
I will bring you into my court, which meets on a different day, and the vets stay together, and they're all seen together apart.
But you're not doing that
from the
now,
other.
are
Yeah,
you?
I am.
You are? Oh, still? Okay. Because our county executive has a very strong
He does.
ties to the militia and the vets, and he's doing that Soldiers On project.
I've
out
worked with
by-
Soldier On. I have 2 representatives from the VA that come down. I've lost my mentors, unfortunately. When I first started, I had a great group of guys. Some of my graduates from court came back to be mentors. If anybody should get a second look, a second chance, it's our veterans. They've earned it. So I'm happy to do it. I love seeing them come through. Some of them have just come back to visit.
Well, and we know that you were an acting county court judge. Now you're going to be...
I don't have to act anymore.
You don't have to act at it anymore. Best of success to you.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to seeing you on the same side of the bench as you are.
Well, Judge, only good things.
times.
Great success,
Yes.
be growing through your life and continue with great success also, and
Thank
with
you.
good health.
Thank you, and I wish you a Happy New Year.
Thank
If
you.
I could just say one
Yes,
quick thing.
absolutely, sure.
I really want to thank the folks at the Daughters of Sarah and also the Mastery House, particularly Sharon Rosenblum. They just took care of my father for a very long time, and I just wanted to say thank you. 'Cause they knew that I was going to be on, so.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, that's...
Right, excellent.
It's a great institution, I'll tell you.
It really is.
yeah.
My wife wants to live at the Mastery residence.
Oh, really? She's booking ahead. Huh?
Very far ahead, I hope.
Okay, well, all the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
for
the
having
time.
me.
I appreciate this.